Have you ever put all your heart into a message, composing it over and over again, pouring all your emotions into the characters, but only receiving silence in return? That's silence. It's deafening, isn't it? It cuts deeper than outright rejection, leaving you to question everything. Did I say the wrong thing? Am I not good enough? Should I try harder? But let's face it, the harder you push, the further they pull away. Begging for attention doesn't just give away your power. It slowly erodes your self-respect, one unanswered message at a time. Why do we do this? Why are we so compelled to fill the silence, to fix it as if it's something broken? You're here because you're tired of being overlooked, tired of feeling like you're not even a second thought, let alone the first. The problem is, most of us tackle this with the wrong mindset: desperation. We think we need to explain, apologize, or somehow prove our worth. But Stoicism offers a different path. Its wisdom lies in this simple truth: control what you can and release what you can't. You can't force someone to reply, but you can absolutely control how you handle their indifference. And here's where everything changes. Instead of reacting with neediness, you'll learn to respond with strength. Today, I'm going to share 6 transformative steps that will not only shift the dynamic, but also make others crave your presence. These aren't superficial tricks or games. They're grounded in self-respect and emotional intelligence. Each step will empower you to reclaim your worth, shift the narrative, and remind others that your attention is something to be earned, not taken for granted. If you take these lessons to heart, you'll stop scrambling for scraps of attention and start commanding respect without even needing to say a word. This is about stepping into your strongest self, composed, confident, and unforgettable. The kind of presence that leaves people wanting more, not because you demanded it, but because you've become magnetic. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop chasing and start attracting? Are you prepared to reclaim the power you've been giving away? If the answer is yes, keep reading. What I'm about to share isn't just advice. It's a mindset shift that will change how you view silence forever. Let's begin with the most profound response of all: saying nothing. 1. The silence stings. Let your absence speak. Have you ever felt the sting of being ignored? The first instinct might be to take action, send another message, ask for an explanation, or prove your worth. But here's the twist. When you chase someone's attention, you unintentionally teach them that your value is negotiable. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. The same goes for relationships. The more you cling, the less appreciated you become. So what happens when you stop holding on? What happens when you simply let go? There's immense power in letting go. When someone pulls away, they often expect you to react. They anticipate that follow-up text, a plea for understanding, or an emotional outburst. They count on you to fill the silence, reassuring them of your interest. But when you choose not to, when you respond with calm and purposeful silence, it forces them to face something they didn't expect: the empty space you leave behind. Silence isn't weakness. It's not passivity. It's a deliberate expression of self-respect. The ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, when someone withdraws from you, don't chase them. Instead, step back with grace and confidence. Show them that your presence is not a given, but a choice, a privilege they shouldn't take for granted. Ask yourself this: if someone repeatedly overlooks your value, are they truly worth your energy? If their attention is so easily lost, should you be fighting to regain it? Silence forces people to confront these questions on their own. You don't need to argue, explain, or justify yourself. Instead, you disappear into the quiet, leaving them to wonder, why haven't they reached out? Did I lose them? It's human nature to underestimate what's always available and to recognize its worth only when it's gone. By removing your presence, your warmth, your efforts, you create a void that's impossible to ignore. It's like turning off a light in a dark room. Suddenly, the absence of that glow feels overwhelming. But let's be clear, silence isn't a manipulative trick. It's not about playing games to make someone miss you. It's about setting boundaries and honoring your own self-worth. When you stay silent, it's not because you're hoping they'll come running back. It's because you refuse to beg for attention that should be given freely. Your silence says, I value myself too much to fight for someone who doesn't see my worth. Think of it this way. Pouring your energy into someone who doesn't appreciate it is like trying to fill a cracked vase. No matter how much you pour, it will leak out, leaving you empty. But when you stop pouring, the emptiness becomes undeniable. Sometimes that's the wake-up call they need. Now you might worry that staying silent could make you seem cold or indifferent. But silence isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's not about ghosting or ignoring someone out of spite. It's about reflecting their behavior back to them. If they've pulled away, you match their energy. If they've stopped responding, you stop asking questions. Your actions, or lack thereof, become a mirror, showing them exactly how they've treated you. Over time, they'll notice the quiet. They'll realize you haven't double-texted, haven't checked in, and haven't begged for answers. And that realization will hit harder than any words you could have spoken. They'll begin to question themselves. Did I mess up? Why aren't they reaching out? What if I've lost them? That's the beauty of the silent response. It protects your dignity while subtly reminding them that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. And that kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. But here's the catch. For this to truly work, you must be willing to accept their silence as an answer. If they don't notice your absence, or if they choose not to return, that's your sign to move forward. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we cannot. You can't force someone to see your value, but you can choose to honor yourself by walking away. Let's end with a question. What's more powerful, pleading for someone's attention or walking away and allowing your absence to speak volumes? Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. It forces others to face the reality of their actions and the consequences of taking you for granted. So next time someone ignores you, resist the urge to chase. Don't explain, don't justify, and don't beg. Let your silence do the talking. It's a quiet yet profound statement of self-worth. And remember, your value doesn't depend on someone else's reply. Embrace the power of silence and watch how it transforms not only your relationships, but also your sense of self. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts below. Let's reclaim our power together and remind ourselves that we are worthy, with or without someone else's validation. 2. The breadcrumb strategy. Spark curiosity, not desperation. Picture this. You craft a thoughtful message, one filled with intention and care. But instead of receiving a reply, you're met with silence. The temptation to send another text, to clarify, to explain yourself, looms large. Yet, take a moment and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to chase? What does doubling my efforts achieve when they've already chosen not to respond? The reality is, desperation can be off-putting. When you over-explain, overcompensate, or send lengthy emotional texts, it doesn't inspire connection. Instead, it can make you appear predictable, needy, and easy to ignore. Stoicism with its timeless wisdom, encourages us to act with restraint and purpose, even in the face of rejection or indifference. This is where the breadcrumb strategy comes into play. It's subtle, intentional, and powerfully effective. Rather than flooding someone's inbox with all your feelings, you offer just enough to pique their curiosity. A breadcrumb doesn't demand attention, it invites it. It lingers in their mind, leaving them wondering, and most importantly, it shifts the dynamic. Think about a gripping novel. Ever found yourself compelled to turn the next page because you just had to know what happens next? That's the psychological pull breadcrumbs create. Instead of sending a desperate follow-up like, "Why haven't you replied?" try something open-ended and intriguing. "You just crossed my mind. Interesting timing." What does this do? It's vague, it's thought-provoking, and it's nearly impossible to ignore without at least wondering, why interesting timing? What made them think of me? Suddenly, you've shifted the energy. You're not chasing them, you've sparked their curiosity. Here's another example. "I saw something today that reminded me of you, but it's hard to explain." Now they're left wondering, what did they see? Why did it remind them of me? Was it good? Was it bad? Their mind begins to fill with questions, and just like that, they're thinking about you. Breadcrumbs work because they tap into a fundamental aspect of human nature, our need for closure. When faced with an unfinished thought, a vague message, or a curious hint, our brains naturally seek to fill in the blanks. We crave resolution. By dropping breadcrumbs, you create a small, irresistible gap that draws the other person back toward you. Consider this line. "I just realized something about you today." What does it mean? Is it a compliment, a quirky observation, a revelation? Its simplicity is its power. You're not demanding their attention. You're earning it by planting a question in their mind. Here's the crucial part. Breadcrumbs only work if you practice restraint. When they respond with, "What did you realize?" or "What reminded you of me?" your answer should remain brief, light, and intriguing. Avoid the temptation to spill all your emotions or over-explain. Think of it as planting seeds. You drop just enough for them to grow naturally over time. Stoicism reminds us that control begins within ourselves. You cannot control how someone reacts to your messages, but you can control what you send and how you send it. Breadcrumbs embody this principle of restraint. They communicate quiet confidence, emotional intelligence, and a sense of self-worth. You're not pleading for attention, you're inviting curiosity. Let's visualize this approach with a simple analogy. Fishing. If you throw a net aggressively into the water, the fish scatter. But if you drop a single, well-placed hook, the fish come to you willingly. Breadcrumbing is like that hook, subtle, patient, and irresistible. Now ask yourself, what's more powerful? Begging for a response or leaving someone intrigued and wondering about you? The answer is clear. When you drop breadcrumbs, you remind them that you're not desperate, you're confident enough to let them come to you, and that kind of quiet self-assurance is magnetic. Before we go further, let's address an important point. Breadcrumbing isn't manipulation. It's not about tricking someone into responding or playing games. It's about rekindling genuine intrigue and resetting the respect they may have forgotten to show. A breadcrumb message says, "I'm still here, but I'm not chasing you. My presence is worth wondering about." This approach doesn't just change their perception, it transforms yours as well. It reminds you that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your words, when chosen with care, carry weight, and your silence, when paired with the right message, can speak volumes more than any long-winded explanation ever could. Here's a challenge for you. The next time someone ignores you, resist the urge to send that long emotional message. Instead, drop a breadcrumb. Keep it short, keep it light, keep it intriguing. and then wait. If they don't respond, you've lost nothing. In fact, you've reinforced your self-worth by refusing to chase. But if they do respond, you'll know it's because you earned their curiosity, not because you begged for their attention. If this strategy resonates with you, take action right now. Comment below with the words, "I'm ready," and share your thoughts. Let's reclaim our power together and remind ourselves that knowing our worth means never having to beg for attention. Instead, we become people others can't ignore. This is just the beginning. Remember, when you know your worth, you don't need to chase. You simply become someone others want to pursue. Start today. Start now. And let's see how this subtle yet profound shift can transform the way you connect with others. 3. Pull the rug. Be unpredictable. What happens when you've been ignored for too long? Do you fall into predictable patterns, sending the same follow-up messages, asking the same questions, or worse, pleading for attention? Let's face it, predictability is dull. It gives the other person no reason to re-engage, no spark to reignite their curiosity. Think about it. Why do plot twists in movies grab our attention? Why do we lean forward when the unexpected happens? Because unpredictability disrupts our routine. It forces us to pay attention. And the same principle applies here. When someone ignores you, it's often because they think they already know what you'll say or do next. This is your cue to flip the script, to pull the rug. Now, pulling the rug isn't about being manipulative or spiteful. It's about surprising them with messages that disrupt their expectations and make them stop and think, "Wait, what?" It's about reintroducing an element of mystery and showing them that you're not predictable or desperate. Let's explore this with a simple example. Instead of sending a follow-up like, "Did you see my last message?" Try something bold and concise. "You know what? Never mind." Just 4 words, but they work wonders. Why? Because they disrupt the expected narrative. Suddenly, they're not thinking about why they didn't respond. They're wondering, what did I miss? What were they going to say? You've shifted the dynamic, and now they're focused on your words, not the other way around. Another example. "Wow, I didn't expect that from you." It's vague, it's intriguing, and it plants a seed of doubt. They'll start wondering, what did they mean? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? You've created a question only you can answer, pulling their attention back toward you. Here's another powerful option. "I guess I'll have to find someone else for this idea. Too bad, you would have been perfect." This message taps into their sense of exclusivity and fear of missing out. People hate feeling replaced or excluded, and this playful yet pointed remark delivers just enough of a sting to jolt them out of their complacency. The beauty of this approach is its confidence. You're not pleading or explaining yourself. You're showing them that you're unpredictable and self-assured, that you're not waiting for their validation to feel worthy. This kind of energy commands attention, but timing is everything. Don't send these messages immediately after being ignored. Let the silence linger for a while. Give them time to notice your absence. Then, when you drop an unexpected message, it lands with greater impact. It disrupts their assumptions about you and forces them to reconsider. This approach aligns perfectly with Stoic principles. Stoicism teaches us to act with deliberation and not react out of frustration or insecurity. When you pull the rug, you're not doing it out of anger. You're reminding them that you're someone they can't take for granted. You're showing them that you have the strength to walk away from being treated as an option. Think of it this way. Imagine watching a movie where you already know every twist and turn. You'd lose interest, right? But when the story surprises you, you lean in. You're curious about what happens next. That's the effect you create when you pull the rug. It's not about being petty, it's about reclaiming your power. You're saying, I'm not here to chase you, I'm here to remind you that I'm someone worth noticing. Now, here's a challenge. The next time someone ignores you, resist the urge to send a predictable follow-up. Instead, try one of these. You know what? Never mind. Wow, I didn't expect that from you. I guess I'll have to find someone else for this idea. Too bad, you would have been perfect. Keep it short, keep it vague, and most importantly, don't explain yourself. Let them wonder. Let their curiosity drive them back to you. And if they still don't reply, that's where Stoicism comes in. Don't let their indifference define your worth. You've shown confidence, you've shown unpredictability, and that's enough. Remember, your value doesn't depend on their response. You're not here to beg for attention, you're here to act in alignment with your self-respect. So, are you ready to break free from predictability? Are you ready to flip the script and show them that you're not someone they can ignore? If this resonates with you, take action. Like this post and drop a comment below with the words, I'm ready. Let's reclaim our power and remind ourselves that the most magnetic people are those who keep others guessing. They're confident, they're unexpected, and they're unforgettable. This is just the beginning. When you start pulling the rug, you become someone they can't stop thinking about. And there's so much more to discover, so stay tuned, because your journey to mastering this dynamic is far from over. 4. The hook. They can't shake, get stuck in their mind. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Just a few notes, and suddenly it's on repeat, no matter how much you try to shake it off. That's the power of a hook. Something so simple yet so memorable that it lingers. Now imagine if your words could have the same effect. Imagine crafting a message that stays with someone long after they've read it. A message that they can't stop thinking about. That's what the hook is all about. Creating intrigue, sparking curiosity, and leaving a lasting impression. When someone ignores you, it's not always because they're busy or uninterested. Sometimes it's because your message didn't stand out. It didn't provoke thought or evoke curiosity. This is where a well-placed hook changes the game. The hook is not about demanding attention. It's about crafting a message so intentional and thought-provoking that they can't ignore it. Stoicism teaches us to act deliberately and avoid emotional overreactions. Rather than flooding someone with repetitive follow-ups or emotional pleas, you use precise, carefully chosen words to make them stop and think. Let's break it down. Picture sending this message. I just realized something about you, and it's kind of blowing my mind. It's vague, yet personal. It plants a seed of curiosity. They'll wonder, what did they realize? Is it good? Is it bad? What do they think about me? Their mind craves closure, and your message becomes the puzzle they can't help but solve. Or consider this one. I can't believe I never noticed this about you before. It's irresistible. They'll start thinking, what did they notice? Is it something important? How did I miss it? It's simple, yet loaded with meaning. You've created a gap in their mind that only you can fill. Here's another example. Have you ever thought about how you do that thing you're so good at? This message does two things. It sparks curiosity and subtly compliments them. It makes them reflect on their unique qualities and strengths, while pulling their attention back to you in a way that feels thoughtful, not desperate. The beauty of the hook lies in its ability to command attention without begging for it. It's not about whether they'll respond. It's about how long it will take them to finally ask, "What do you mean? Tell me more." The hook works because humans are wired to seek answers. When you leave something unsaid, their minds naturally try to fill in the blanks. It's like starting a story and leaving it unfinished. They're compelled to figure out the missing pieces. This is where Stoic principles come into play. Your words are most powerful when used with restraint. A great hook is short, impactful, and leaves room for imagination. Over-explaining ruins the intrigue, and too much detail diminishes your confidence. The key is to say just enough to pique their curiosity and let their mind do the rest. Now, let's take it further. Imagine tying your hook to something they care deeply about. For example, if they're passionate about art, you could say, "I just saw a painting that reminded me of something you once said." It's crazy how accurate you were. This message connects to their interests, subtly complements them, and creates an unfinished thought they'll want to resolve. They'll wonder, "What painting? What did I say? How was I accurate?" Suddenly, your message isn't just a text, it's a puzzle, and people love solving puzzles, especially when it's about themselves. The secret to mastering the hook is confidence. You're not chasing their reply or waiting anxiously for validation. You drop the hook and trust it to work its magic. Whether they respond immediately or hours later, you know your words are lingering in their mind like a tune they can't stop humming. Let me ask you this. Would you rather send a desperate message that gets ignored, or craft a single line that keeps them thinking about you for hours? The choice is clear. When you use the hook, you're not just sending a message. You're creating an impact. You're showing that you're thoughtful, intriguing, and worth their attention. And here's the most powerful part. The hook works even when you're silent. Once you've planted the thought in their mind, it stays there. You don't need to follow up. You've already made your presence felt. So here's your challenge. Instead of sending another predictable message, craft a hook. Keep it short, personal, and intriguing. Let it hang in the air and do the work for you. And then wait. Don't explain. Don't chase. Trust that your words are enough. If you're still unsure, remember this. People remember how you make them feel. A great hook makes them feel special, curious, and intrigued. It shifts the energy back to you, leaving them wondering why they ever let you slip into the background. If this strategy resonates with you, take action. Like this post and comment, "I'm ready" below. Show that you're committed to leveling up your communication and becoming unforgettable. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next part of this guide. There's more to come, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Here's the truth. When you master the art of the hook, you'll never have to beg for attention again. Your words will linger, your presence will stand out, and they'll be the ones chasing you. It's time to stop feeling invisible and start being unforgettable. 5. Play it cool. Confidence over desperation. How often do you catch yourself overthinking when someone ignores you? Do you feel the urge to jump in, explain yourself, or send another message just to get their attention? The truth is, desperation whispers louder than you think. The moment you chase, you hand over your power. You shift from being the confident, grounded version of yourself to someone anxiously seeking scraps of attention. But what if, instead of reacting emotionally, you played it cool? What if you shifted the energy entirely? Playing it cool isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need anyone else to validate it. Stoicism teaches us this core truth. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control your response. When you respond with calm, collected confidence instead of panic, you send a clear message. I value myself enough not to beg for attention. Imagine this. Someone ignores your message for hours, maybe even days. Instead of sending a follow-up like, "Hey, did you see my message?" Or worse, "Are you mad at me?" you send something unexpected. "I figured you'd be busy, so I'll catch up with you later." What does this do? It acknowledges the situation without bitterness or emotion. You come across as calm, unbothered, and self-assured. You're signaling that their silence hasn't shaken you. In fact, you've moved on with your day. And that confidence? It's magnetic. It makes them wonder, why aren't they chasing me? Why are they so calm about this? Did I miss something? Here's another powerful line. I had something interesting to tell you, but it can wait. This isn't passive-aggressive. It's confidence distilled. You're subtly communicating that you have something valuable to share, but you're in no rush to demand their time. You've turned the tables. Now they're left curious. What did they want to tell me? Why doesn't it seem urgent? Suddenly, you're in control of the conversation. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how different would your life feel if you stopped chasing? How would it feel to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth? When you play it cool, you step into that version of yourself, the version that doesn't seek approval or validation, the version that says, "I'm enough, whether you see it or not." The truth is, people are drawn to emotional steadiness. Desperation repels, confidence attracts. When you respond to silence with calm detachment instead of panic, it sends a message more powerful than words. It tells them, I don't need to prove anything to you. I'm comfortable with who I am. Now, let's talk about mirroring. Playing it cool also means matching their energy without resentment. If they take hours to reply, you don't need to respond within seconds. You're not glued to your phone waiting for their attention. Give yourself permission to delay your response, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. If they're taking their time, so can you. Here's a reminder. Being too available sends the wrong message. It tells people you don't value your own time, so why should they? When you play it cool, you show them your life is full. You have things to do, places to be, and you're not sitting around waiting for their response. That kind of energy is rare and incredibly attractive. Think of it like an auction. The more desperate someone appears to win an item, the higher the price becomes. But when you act calm, composed, and slightly detached, you communicate value without saying a word. You don't beg to be chosen because you already know your worth. Your calm confidence speaks for itself. Now, ask yourself, how many times have you lowered your standards to keep someone's attention? How often have you sent messages out of fear of losing someone who was already pulling away? Here's the hard truth. You cannot beg someone into valuing you. The more you chase, the more you confirm their indifference. But when you play it cool, you communicate something much stronger. I'm not here to convince you of my worth. That's your loss. This isn't about being cold or aloof. It's about showing emotional maturity and strength. You don't have to make someone feel bad for ignoring you. You simply let your calm, confident response show that their silence doesn't control you. That's the kind of energy that makes people sit up and take notice. Next time someone ignores you, try this. Instead of overthinking or overreacting, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that their silence doesn't define you. Then send a message like, "No worries, I'll catch up with you another time." Short, light, and confident. You're not explaining yourself, and you're not seeking their approval. You're walking away with grace, and that speaks volumes. So, let me ask you, are you ready to stop reacting emotionally and start responding with confidence? Are you ready to stop proving your worth and start showing it? If this resonates with you, take action. Like this post and comment, "I'm ready" below, if you're prepared to embrace confidence and calm as your new power moves. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next strategies that will completely change the way you approach conversations. Here's the truth. Playing it cool doesn't mean you care less. It means you value yourself more. When you value yourself, others can't help but value you too. Keep your energy steady, your words calm, and your worth non-negotiable. You'll stop being ignored not because you demanded attention, but because your confidence made you impossible to overlook. Stay with me. We're not done yet. The next step is even more powerful, and trust me, you'll want to hear it. 6. The spark of nostalgia reignites the connection. Have you ever felt that rush of warmth when an old song plays, a familiar scent drifts by, or you stumble across a photo from years ago? Suddenly, you're transported back to a moment when life felt simpler, closer, or more alive. That's the magic of nostalgia. It bypasses logic and strikes straight at the heart, pulling up emotions you didn't even realize were still there. Now, imagine using that same power to rekindle a connection with someone who's grown distant. When someone ignores you, it's easy to feel invisible, as if the bond you once shared has dissolved. You might start to believe they've forgotten you, don't care, or that you no longer matter. But here's the truth. People don't forget connections. They forget the feeling of them. Nostalgia reawakens that feeling. It brings back the emotions, the closeness, and the memories you once shared. Instead of demanding attention, nostalgia gently invites them to remember. It's not begging or chasing. It's about reminding them of the moments that made your connection special and undeniable. Imagine this. Instead of sending a message like, "Why haven't you replied?" or "Is everything okay?" you try something like, "I just remembered that time we got completely lost and found that tiny cafe. Still one of the best days." What does this do? It pulls them back to that moment. Maybe they can still taste the coffee, hear the laughter, or feel the warmth of that shared experience. Nostalgia paints the picture for them, leaving no room for defensiveness or discomfort. It doesn't ask for anything. It simply gives the gift of remembering the connection, the joy, and the version of themselves they were with you. Here's another example. I saw something today that reminded me of you. It took me back to that hilarious thing you said at that party. It still makes me laugh. Why does this work? Because it's personal, specific, and tied to a shared moment that meant something, no matter how small. It reminds them of the joy they felt in your presence and reopens the door to that connection. Let me ask you, when was the last time you smiled at a memory? When was the last time someone brought up something about you that made you feel seen, remembered, and valued? That's the beauty of nostalgia. It doesn't push, it pulls. It gently reopens the door to connection in the softest, most human way. Now you might be thinking, what if they don't respond? What if the memory doesn't matter to them? That's where Stoicism steps in. When you send a nostalgic message, You're not trying to control their response or force engagement. You're simply offering a moment of connection and leaving the rest up to them. You're saying, I remember this. It mattered to me. If it matters to them too, they'll respond. If it doesn't, you can walk away knowing you stayed true to yourself, calm, confident, and kind. Here's something to keep in mind. Nostalgia works because it reconnects people with emotions they may have buried or forgotten. Maybe they've been distant because life got in the way. Maybe they've been ignoring you because they thought you'd moved on. But when you remind them of a shared moment, you cut through all that noise. You don't argue or demand. You bring back a memory they can't ignore. Let's go deeper. When you reference a shared experience, you're not just bringing up a moment, you're bringing up a feeling. Maybe it was joy, laughter, excitement, or comfort. Whatever it was, nostalgia reawakens it, pulling them back to you in a way that feels natural and unforced. Imagine sending this. I just remembered how calm you stayed during that chaos at work. I always admired that about you. This isn't just nostalgia, it's appreciation. You're reminding them of their strengths and showing them how much you valued those moments. People often forget their best qualities until someone brings them back to life. Nostalgia doesn't just remind them of you, it reminds them of a version of themselves they enjoyed being. And that's powerful. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about manipulating someone's emotions. Stoicism teaches us to act with integrity, to speak with purpose, and to let go of what we can't control. Sending a nostalgic message isn't about tricking someone into caring. It's about offering a genuine reminder of what once existed. It's about saying, this was real. I haven't forgotten. Maybe you haven't either. So, I challenge you, the next time you feel tempted to send a defensive or needy message, pause. Think back to a moment that connected you to that person. Something funny, meaningful, or heartfelt. Craft a short, thoughtful message that invites them to remember too. Keep it light, keep it genuine, and most importantly, don't attach your worth to their response. Let me ask you, how many moments of connection have you already forgotten? How many times has someone remembered something about you and made you feel special because of it? Nostalgia is a gift. When you give it, you show that you're thoughtful, confident, and grounded in who you are. You don't need to beg for their attention because the connection already existed. You're simply holding up a mirror and saying, do you remember? If this resonates with you, take action right now. Like this post and drop a comment below with the words, I'm ready. Show that you're prepared to stop chasing and start creating real, meaningful moments of connection. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next strategies that will completely transform the way you approach conversations. Here's the truth. Nostalgia is timeless. It reminds people of the best in you and the best in themselves. When you learn to spark it with confidence, you'll no longer feel invisible. You'll remind them why you were unforgettable to begin with. We've come a long way together. 6 powerful strategies to never be ignored again. Over the course of this journey, we've explored 6 transformative strategies. From letting silence speak louder than words, to sparking curiosity with subtlety and radiating calm confidence to shift dynamics, every step has brought you closer to reclaiming your power. These tools are about more than just connection. They're about redefining how you see yourself and how you engage with the world around you. Let me remind you of this. You don't have to beg for attention to prove your worth. You are not here to chase after people who have forgotten your value. You are here to show up with self-assurance, clarity, and strength. When someone ignores you, you now have a choice. You can react with desperation, or you can respond with poise. You can let their silence shake you, or you can use it to reflect your value back to them. You can walk away knowing you held your ground, acted deliberately, and stayed true to yourself. That's what self-respect looks like. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control other people's actions, only our responses. These strategies aren't about forcing someone to care. They're about showing up as someone who's impossible to overlook. By dropping breadcrumbs, that intrigue, pulling the rug to surprise, sparking nostalgia to reconnect, and playing it cool with unshakable confidence, you're making a powerful statement. I know my worth, and I won't settle for less. Let me leave you with this thought. The people who are worth your time and energy will notice your absence. They will feel the void when you stop chasing. And those who don't, they were never deserving of your presence in the first place. So, I ask you one final time. Are you ready to stop begging for attention and start commanding it? Are you ready to step into the version of yourself who doesn't need to chase because they know they are enough? If so, take action right now. Like this post and drop a comment below with the words, "I'm ready." Claim your power today and say goodbye to the days of overthinking and over-explaining. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tools to master connection, confidence, and personal growth. Remember, your presence is not a given, it's a privilege. When you truly know and believe that, others can't help but believe it too. Stop chasing, start attracting. Watch as the right people lean in to meet you where you stand. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I believe in you. I believe in the power of your words, your actions, and your presence. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself. You've got this. Let's keep growing together. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong, stay confident, and remember, the silence you own today will echo with respect tomorrow.